Hello and welcome to another episode of Novice Chess. So, I'm going to jump into, or at least attempt to jump into, a longer time control game here. We'll see if anyone wants to offer up maybe a 10 or a 15, something like that. Apologies for not updating my YouTube channel. I've been primarily on Twitch, so doing streams. So I wanted to create some exclusive content for YouTube as well. I'm gonna make an open challenge right now for 10-0. Alright, and it looks like we are playing rated. Okay, we're playing against a weaker opponent here, but let's see if we can play well. Opponent is already being very aggressive. Alright. Our opponent just gave us a free pawn. We can just safely retreat our own knight. Although maybe this is a bit messy. But this should be fine. Yeah, that's true. Pawn, these pawns look a bit weird, but I mean, a pawn's a pawn, right? I think I'm going to go this route and prevent castling. Kind of just inconvenience my opponent here. Not really sure what that is. I can't take en passant. Yeah, I don't really understand that move, admittedly. But I am definitely willing to attack this knight. Oh, am I dropping something here? Whoops. Ah, tactics. I'm glad tactics are my friend. Because if they weren't, I may or may not be in trouble. So now I'm hitting 2 pieces. And after this game we will, well, this is interesting because I set up a 10-0, but it's calling this a 5-7. Maybe I made a mistake somewhere. Already, we're going to go over this to see where both of us could have improved. But already my opponent has moved his knight so many times in the opening. And that's just a recipe for disaster, really. I'm trying to determine whether this is just... maybe this is the answer. Should I take here? I feel like if I capture c5, he does have this resource. Knight d7. So that's That's something I'm slightly concerned about. What are my other options here? An immediate capture or immediate check. I think the safest bet is probably just to take the knight. If queen captures, I can recapture with the bishop, and I'm just skewering. So let's just stop any counterplay my opponent may generate. It's not as flashy as, say, bishop capturing and then pushing a pawn, but should get the job done nonetheless. He's spent time protecting this pawn, but now I can defend my own pawn, which is useful. I'd like to I'm still controlling these dark squares a bit. Maybe I can like push this pawn or something. Yeah, that's nice. And now maybe even this. Or no need to get too crazy with the pawn pushes, but e3 should do it, followed by bishop b5. Okay, my opponent's giving up squares here, and that's important. Now I have these ideas, and things become very awkward for our opponent. But before I get that going, I'd like to get all of my pieces, or as many pieces as possible, into the action. This knight's not going anywhere. Am I dropping a piece, a pawn? Yeah, maybe that's a bit sloppy, but after taking and recapturing, it looks like tactics are my friend again. So, okay, I think I'm ready. Am I ready? Taking, recapturing, check. Maybe I can even get this in. But why not just castle? Wait, does castle put me in a strange situation? Can I afford to be slow here? Let's just calculate the forcing line. Knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, rook blocks, bishop takes again, king takes. I'm gonna play a crazy move here. Hey, wait, I need to calculate if knight ever takes, can I throw this check in? Okay, queen here. Very specific plan. And that's just a take. Yeah, this is coming. Can't move the knight. Can't move the queen. Can't really move anything. He can move the rook, but then just queen takes should do it. This is just mate. Okay, good game. Let's see where we both could have improved. I'm interested in seeing. I felt like I was playing a bit sloppily in the opening, but we'll check it out. Okay, so my opponent just immediately abandons the pawn. Yes, at this point I could have just immediately threatened checkmate. That seems way better than what I did. I chose to be more reserved, and here I'm allowing black to damage my pawn structure. So this is really not. This is not necessary, nor is it appropriate. There's no need to push this pawn and spend time that I could be using to develop another piece, say my bishop or even my queen. So this is just not necessary. But he captures, and the computer, it looks like, wants to immediately push this pawn, which makes sense because I need to develop my bishop and probably get castled. But I wanted to inconvenience my opponent for a while. I noticed that if I restricted the castling and my opponent blocked with the pawn, then I could immediately challenge the pawn. If he goes on and why don't we just illustrate this on the board? And if he says, okay, I can castle now, then I can immediately take this pawn, and if this pawn is taken, then yeah, even this is fine. I'm just up a pawn, so that's nice. But he chose to not do that. The check. I missed a tactic. Okay, my bad. I'm just warming up. I had no warm up. if that's fair. Okay. So I was trying to determine whether capturing and going for these types of ideas was possible, but it looks like after rook f8, then taking the knight is the appropriate response. So here I'm just completely winning. My opponent decides to not capture this pawn. At this point, it's just technique here. So what is the computer saying here? They want me to push all the way. I thought this was enough because I didn't want to have a floating target there, but maybe it just controls a bunch of squares and there's no way to attack it. So at first the computer was suggesting this, then it was suggesting this, now it's going this route. I chose to plop a knight there. And just out of curiosity, if knight takes, do I not have... Yeah, that'll do it. So that was tactically defended there. And here I noticed that if I ever take this bishop and pawn captures, there's some big trouble on the light squares because this is already controlled. So the king will be very low on squares. So here they want me to go immediately. I see. And the bishop is trapped. Oh, no, the bishop can go here. I see. Yeah, I think I like my line a little bit better. So computer didn't like this because the queen has the opportunity to jump in and defend, I guess. But oh, even the check. Can we see the line? And then what? This? I'd probably go, yeah, okay, so yeah, this does make sense. And here, and then, can I just, oh, don't want to do that. Okay, so this is actually pretty tricky. I have to be careful with that line. Luckily, my opponent didn't see the defensive resource. I also want to make a video about overreacting to attacks and overreacting to threats, but I'm not sure how I want to structure that yet. Anyway, so yeah, black had some defensive resources here that he missed, and now that my queen and bishop are, let's see, what is the evaluation shift after that move there? So it goes up for white, and now it's just the knockout blow here. Yep, this is just all computer now. Oh, and then he missed the mate. Okay, so inaccuracies on both our parts, but basically it looks like black got outplayed in the opening because he was, well, first of all, he wasn't following the opening principles, which are, during the opening you want to develop your pieces, you want to control the center, and you want to get your king safe. So generally some things that we tell beginners are you don't want to move the same piece twice in the opening. You want to make sure you're getting your pieces out so that you have resources to attack and defend, and that applies to pawns as well. You don't want to make a bunch of pawn moves in the opening. So here we already see our opponent getting aggressive, spending time. Now, since black has chosen to go this aggressive route, which is probably not that great, he should continue with his idea and maybe defend with something like queen e7 and defend the pawn. But he didn't. He just chose to immediately give me a free pawn. That's already a problem. It's not just the pawn that's the problem, which is a problem in and of itself, but my opponent is wasting time that he could be spending developing to give me material. So that's like a double-edged bad idea. So he gets cut on both ends of that. Then he moves the same piece twice. I moved the same piece as well, but I'm doing it defensively and with the justification of, okay, I just want a pawn. This is why you see the evaluation with me at +1 at this point. So according to a computer, I already have an advantage, and I'd agree. Here, I mistakenly, here is a perfect example of overreacting to a threat or perceived threat. There's no immediate threat with the knight here on g4. This knight could probably sit here forever and not cause me any problems. But because the knight was in my territory, I overreacted to the perceived threat. Okay, I don't want this to cause any problems for me in the future. And I kicked the knight, even though the truth is I probably prefer the knight be here because it's not doing anything. So I really just kicked it back to a square it probably wanted to route to anyway. So that was inaccurate on my part, and we actually see the evaluation go down for me after this. That's completely logical. Whoops. So I'm not immune from making opening mistakes either. Also, my opponent is able to damage my pawn structure, but what's going on here? What are some other implications? One, my opponent is giving up the bishop pair as well as opening up the position. Why is that bad? One, if you give up the bishop pair, you likely want to keep the position closed because bishops do better as the position opens. So you're giving up a bishop to open the position. That just intuitively doesn't sound correct. Two, you haven't gotten your king castle. So my opponent has spent 2 tempi to do this illogical exchange. His king isn't safe, and his queenside pieces are not developed at all. So then he has to go back. He's moved this knight about 4 times in the opening already, and given me a pawn. Yeah, at this point I do have an advantage, but I'm not sure about the logistics of why immediately attacking this is bad versus developing a piece. Obviously, this is a more principled idea of, okay, I want to complete development, get my king safe. Once again, my opponent moves the knight again. This is like this 5th or 6th time he's moved the piece. It's just... And yes, I missed this tactic. I should have been looking harder for tactics in this situation, given my opponent just not adhering to chess principles. But it resulted in a more instructive game. I still got a tactic in, so that's always good. So yeah, I think the big takeaways from this game are to just follow the opening principles. Get your king safe, and look what happened. My opponent's king remained in the center for the remainder of the game. So, boom. It just becomes very problematic. Okay, well that'll do it for this episode of Novice Chess, and I hope to catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.